I know I spoke about this earlier, but the things that got me interested in riding a motorcycle, uh, a lot of it, a lot of it had to do with the sense of freedom. I guess ever since I rode my first bicycle in like grade school, I don't know, kindergarten, I can't remember. But being able to just ride around the neighborhood on a bicycle really gave me a sense of freedom. I know a lot of people get that sense of freedom when they get their first car. Look at this guy on his cell phone. See, look, he can't turn his head, he can't look right because the way he's holding his cell phone. And then he's got his elbow rested on the center console, I guess. So if something happens, it'd be hard for him to look right, and I'm assuming it'd be hard for him to make a quick turn to the left to avoid something while he's on the phone like that. Anyway, but back to how I got started getting interested in riding a motorcycle. Yeah, I started from bicycle, and I used to ride all over the neighborhood on my bicycle with my brothers and our friends. We used to go all over the place, and we had a bunch of hills in our neighborhood that we would ride down, and we could go pretty fast. And so, I mean, that feeling of just going down really fast and on two wheels, it felt like flying. So that's kind of the feeling I have when I'm riding a motorcycle. The other influences was a TV show. Like my earliest exposure to motorcycles, and I thought it was really cool that I can remember, was watching Kikaida. And Kikaida is a Japanese superhero. He was half man, half machine. And he would, when the bad guys came out, he would change into Kikaida. And he would turn into like a robot-looking guy. And he had this cool, like, race bike. I forget what they call them, tandem racing or something like that. It's a really low, it's like you're lying down. It's really low, and he had a sidecar. You know, by the way, I always wanted to get a sidecar for my bike too. You know, and he would make jumps, and he would burn out, and he would do donuts. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, riding a motorcycle like that. Yeah, so there was that. There was, Chips. I used to love watching Chips with Pancho and John Baker. And I always thought that was kind of cool. And one of my best episodes, my favorite episodes, was the one with the super bike, where they had outfitted a dirt bike as a police motorcycle to catch a stunt motorcycle guy, because the stunt motorcycle guy could go places where the regular motorcycle bikes couldn't go. He would go downstairs, and he would, you know, jump over things and stuff, and the motorcycle bikes, the police motorcycles, couldn't do it. So that was a pretty cool thing. And then I started watching, I got a glimpse of the superbike races. And that just flipped me out, man. Seeing those guys go around the track super fast, and, you know, going through the chicanes, and, you know, the way they just, you know, manhandle that bike. And they're, you know, leaning over and their knees scraping the ground. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Of course, I always thought those guys were a little crazy. And then I watched dirt bike racing, and that was pretty cool too. And those guys are pretty nuts. So I don't know, I guess, yeah, just anything with two wheels just kind of always captured my interest. And yeah, so back in high school, I decided to go get me to learn how to ride a bike. And my cousin had a Kawasaki 250, and so I learned on that guy. And it's pretty funny. So I was riding it around, and I was having fun. I was riding it illegally, so I don't recommend that. I definitely recommend getting your license and insurance and everything, especially on a motorcycle. But my dad saw me riding it around, and my mom hated it. My mom didn't like me riding the motorcycle. But my dad said, "Oh, hey boy, let me take it out for a spin." And I'm like, "Do you know how to ride a motorcycle?" I've never seen him ride a motorcycle. So he's like, "Yeah, of course, I rode a motorcycle when I was, in my younger days." So I'm like, "All right." He's like, "All right, show me the controls." I'm like, "Oh, great." So anyway, I showed him, which is the throttle, which is the brake, and everything. And my dad can figure stuff out, so even if he didn't know, I'm sure he could figure it out. So he takes it down the street. He takes it down our little road, and it's a little straightaway about, I don't know, almost 100 yards. And then it comes to a stop sign, comes to an intersection. So I'm watching him go down the street, and he gets to the intersection, and he just falls right over. I guess he must have locked the brakes or something, the front brake, or I don't know, he squeezed it too hard. I don't know what the heck happened, and I was like, "No!" as the bike was tipping over. And yeah, so I go running down the street, and of course he's not wearing the proper gear and stuff. So he managed to jump off the bike and stuff, but he ended up falling down and chipping a tooth and stuff. So I'm like, "Oh man." So he was okay though. And I'm like, "Oh man, you ain't ever riding this thing again." So anyway, there was some slight damage to the bike. The foot peg was bent on the left side. I think the clutch lever was bent. There were some scratches, of course, on it. I think the lights were broken, the turn signal lights. So then I was, "Oh, great. My cousin's not going to like this."